very much for that. I mean, at some point, in addition to the orientation, because it may have impact on heating and cooling too. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Ayarisi. Okay, guys, just going to be delighted to introduce you to Angel Lyons Donna Strong from, sorry? Donna Strong. Yeah. Okay, so you're strong. Okay, so, thank you. Donna is also from the Dominican Republic. She's also a civil engineer with a master's degree in civil engineering and currently a PhD candidate of the built environment at the University of Wolverhampton. Her research evaluation of the Dominican Republic's renewable energy strategies. She looks into the energy industry and the knowledge and implementations of the DR with, what's the DR for?
Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic. With the aim of proposing a framework to aid the change to the RE. What is that for?
Renewable energy.
Renewable energy, okay. So please welcome Angela, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Can everybody hear me? As you can see, and thank you for presenting me, that way you can avoid doing that the next time you have to do it in a couple of minutes. So you can see this is not my presentation. My colleague could not make it. So please, I'm going to copy from my colleague here. I will take any comments you want, but the questions, I will record them and take them to my colleague. I also put his email address so that you can kill him with your questions. Now, as you can see, the subject at hand is pervasive augmented reality in the construction industry, the barriers, drivers, and possible applications. This is a brand new subject. Just this year, Gruber 2017 came up with pervasive augmented reality. I apologize if this presentation is not as in-depth as you would have liked, but I will do my best. Now, I'm going to give you a brief introduction, research rationality, research methodology, the findings, including barriers, drivers, and possible applications, and then a conclusion. So first of all, AR, or augmented reality, represents a viable and efficient way to merge together virtual reality with the real world, in this case, construction. Now, pervasive AR is a continuous, and pervasive, in this case, this is repetitive, this is constant use of interface that augments the physical world with the digital information registered in 3D, while being aware of responsive to the user context. What does this mean? It means that the mobile technology that's being used is aware of the context of where the person is located, and it's always being responsive to what is being given and what is being around in the environment. Now, pervasive AR is the integration of context awareness, which is this, the context of where you're located, the responsiveness and continuity into traditional AR. Now, this is the definition, which is that it's a continuous and prevalent, meaning it's always active, user interface that augments the physical world with digital information registered in 3D while being aware of and responsive to the user context. So it's not only aware, but it responds to you and what you're giving it. Now, the rationality behind going into this subject. With the rise of smart devices in all of the subjects and sectors, the increase in availability of georeferencing and user-generated data, and the accessibility to high speed, of course, the construction industry counts with the right scenario for implementing AR technology based on real-time data. Now, this study aims to explore the key features of pervasive augmented reality within the scope of architectural, engineering, and construction across the literature. So this is based on literature review. As I said, this is a very new subject. So it just came out this year. And based on that, some of the barriers that were found is the cost of AR. As a new technology, of course, is going to be more expensive, Also, you have hardware issues of compatibility with old technology or softwares, and you have this new technology. And you have the development of applications. Again, new technology will need new applications to be developed for it. Now, the drivers of implementing, you can reduce the error, human error, and the cost of a project because you're getting data, real time. So it's some projects or some phases are very time sensitive, and if you have real-time data, you can reduce the error and cost of them. You have continuous assistance. Again, since it's real time, you have the information when you need it and the moment you need it. Now, possible implementations. You have in design, you have visualization of drawings, technical information on the job site, and marketing. So it'd be very nice for marketing of a room, an apartment or flat, for you to actually be able to walk around it, not just see it in your computer, without it being actually constructed. This is already being used in the industry. Specifically, manufacturers are already using AR technology so they can visualize products in a new way. Now, in conclusion, pervasive AR could bring error and cost reductions into the construction projects by providing a continuous assistance in a context-aware, suggested to the workforce. The cost of technology is a crucial limitation at the moment for its implementation as well as existing hardware issues. Thank you very much, and that's the email you need for any questions.
Thank you very much, Angela, for this very... Okay, guys, also I want to welcome our next speaker, Hadi Jallo. Hadi Jallo completed her bachelor degree in civil engineering at Wolverhampton University in 2016. She now works in the construction industry as a building information modeling engineer for Caroline on the MX6 Smart Motorway scheme in the UK. So please, you ready now? Okay, so please welcome Hadi Jallo for her presentation. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone. I'm going to be going to my laptop because I need to play some stuff for you. But yeah, so my research was basically on building information model. I'm looking at the overall building information model because, as you can see, people mentioned it, but it's all buildings, and I'm in the infrastructure sector, so it's most about roads and stuff. So, but this paper is focused on using 4D for construction management and planning. I'll just click on it. We've all seen this diagram a couple times, the different levels of BIM. In the UK, it's mandated. So level 2 is basically operated by collaborative practices. It's not fully collaborative because it's not a single shared model between everyone. It's different models for the different parties in the organization. And the three main dimensions that we really hear of and use are 3D, 4D, and 5D. 3D, just a normal 3D model visualization. 4D for the program is linked to it, so time comes into it. And 5D, cost comes into it as well. So the project that I'm working on is a smart motorway scheme. It is a 30-kilometer stretch on the M6 from junction 16 to 19. And it is basically, we say smart because it's going to have lots of signage on it, and cameras as well, which are going to, for example, if there was an accident 7 miles down the road, the camera will pick it up, and the signage is going to reduce the speed, so the cars will keep moving because the speed's reduced, instead of them going at 70 miles per hour and then coming to a complete stop. Yeah, the video doesn't work, so...
Maximize it. No, just best way to maximize it. Try to connect.
Just taking my time, so I'm just gonna keep going. Yeah, so we didn't have a design model because BIM, we started the project before BIM was mandated in the UK. So we've been building an as-built model basically. So we get the string lines from the designers, and as you can see there, that's the delta block that's in the middle of the carriageway, and with the V channel, and we've just been using it for design practicality for the on-site team The blue is the design delta block, and realistically, you're meant to have a 1:5 slope from the delta block to the V channel so that the water can actually drain. And it's meant to be a minimum of 1.2 from the rib line as well. So the red shows that we could actually move the delta block and achieve both, just for the on-site team to know that they could move the design, basically. That's just another cross-section. It's showing the existing bridge, and it's just to determine if we need a retaining wall for the typical bridge detail that's meant to be on there. We've been using it for visualization as well. The manholes and the pipes, which you can see the scribbles, they were produced with IFC files. It was basically an Excel sheet, put in the location, and basically just click run, and it just draws everything up for you. And data is attached to it, so in the future, the asset maintainer can basically click on that manhole and see, oh, it's a catch bit, it's in that location, and that's the cover type I need to fix it, basically. We haven't really used it for clash detection because, as I said earlier, we didn't have a design model, but it could be possible for that as well. And the video I was going to show you would have looked like that, which we used for stakeholder engagement. Because next year we're going to plan on opening some lanes and not. So it just basically has the signs that we showed the stakeholders and the police and the clients and all that, just to let them know how the traffic management is going to be proposed to look like, basically. Yeah. So planners, for my research, I interviewed a couple of planners just to know what difficulties they had, and they basically, planners kind of determine how the works are going to go. And it's quite like an intense job because depending on the planners, if they do a work plan, if the plan doesn't go right, time and cost can just basically go down. So it's quite important. The main difficulty that they found was gaining site access on site, because in order to produce a work plan, they can't really tell if that work plan is feasible, like if there's any obstruction there. So they just basically just produce a work plan and just give it to the on-site team. And if it's not feasible, then they'll have to deal with it there and then, which would take some time. And also the work plan is in kind of like a Gantt chart form. So they can't really show the on-site team what they actually want them to do. Which, if they don't understand what they have to do, then it's not really going to be a good thing. With the 4D model, the going on site thing can be fixed because they could basically see what the site's going to look like. Know if, for example, that middle bit there, the encapsulation of the gantry, if there was some obstruction on the way, they could see it before they produced a work plan, so they'd know that, oh, we can't do that, there's going to be something there, and all that. Hopefully this one plays. Instead of using Gantt charts, they could attach the Gantt chart to the model and basically just show, like the green's showing that you're going to construct this and the red showing that you're going to, what's it called? Sorry?
Dig a trench.
Dig a trench, yeah. Yeah, so they could basically just show them instead of showing them the Gantt chart, so they could visualize it and understand. And with the time being attached to it there, they could say, oh yeah, on Monday we're meant to be on that stage or not. And that's just the sequence, the program linked to it, so they could basically change the sequence around and see which one is more feasible. And one of the planners I interviewed was telling me a story that he cut a month and a half off of one of the programs, but then like a 4D planner came and just like said, oh, do you want to just play around with it? And they realized that he actually just forgot to put some stuff in it. So that would have been a problem if he went to the client and said, oh, we could cut that off, and realized it wasn't really going to work. In conclusion, planners are like mainly the backbone of a construction industry. They could increase performance of the project and the organization just by the way that they're planning the works, saving time and money. And just to help them out with their job, 4D planning could be a massive benefit to them, from clash detection and visualization, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Hadi, for this interesting presentation.
I really wish the other video played, but you know.
The planning, this is very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, can we, do you have any questions for Hadi? Yes, Professor Ellis.
Thank you very much, really. That was good to see, being implemented in a civil engineering project
Yeah.
rather than a building. I was going to ask, what systems actually have you used, for
Like the
for
software.
design, the software, yeah.
We use,
Yeah,
you finished?
yeah.
We use Civil 3D.
Civil 3D.
Yeah, so it's mainly Civil 3D, and we use like the point clouds and stuff to produce surfaces of the existing, and Navisworks. And we use,
Navisworks.
and we use Insight as well, but it's like, it's not a big thing, because it's a joint venture. So the other company, which is Kia, it's their kind of system. So we use,
What is it called?
it's Insight for BIM Extra.
So what does it do?
It's basically a visualization tool. It's like
Just
Navisworks.
a version, okay.
Yeah, but like you can attach, how Navis, you can't really attach documents to it.
Yeah.
For Insight and BIM Extra, they're together, and BIM Extra is the database, and Insight is the visualization, so you could attach stuff to it. 7D is not really defined yet, but we've only gone to the stage of 4D on our project so far, and 4D we're just playing around so far. So possibly in the future, we're probably like touching on 5D and 6D and so on.
Thank you very much, Hadi. And we're going to welcome our last speaker, but not the least, with the great Dominican spirit as well. Angela again is back to present her evaluating critical success factors for implementing renewable energy strategies in Dominican Republic as well. So please welcome Angela again.
4 minutes?
Okay, I'll be quick.
7 minutes.
7 minutes, good.
Okay.
Okay, me again, the odd man out here after old Beam. We're going back to renewable. So I'll be quick, I only have 7 minutes for this. So I'll give you a very brief introduction. I'll give you an overview of the Dominican Republic renewable sector, the methodology, critical success factors, some findings, conclusions, and recommendations, my future work, and research output. So, introduction, why am I doing renewable energy and why the Dominican Republic? We already know that the demand for energy is going to go up by 80% for 2050. We already know that one of the UN sustainable goals is the change to renewable energy. Now, fossil fuels account for 85% of energy, of the energy mix. And the greenhouse gas emissions are also going to be rising up by 50%. Now, the energy use will create 70% growth of CO2 emissions. Now, this is going to affect the whole world, but especially the Latin American countries or the region. Specifically, the Caribbean. Why? Because they're already affected by great climate change. We had the biggest storms this year, the biggest hurricanes, just in Latin America and the Caribbean specifically. Now, despite the efforts, we haven't reached the renewable energy goal. And in the Caribbean region, it's very necessary. The Dominican Republic is the second largest CO2 emitter of the region, but it's also the second growing economy of the region. Now, emerging markets in the Latin American Caribbean region are a great opportunity for change because they're emerging. They're able to change and be flexible more easily than already rigorous economy. Now, we have multiple sides of change, but why haven't we made the change? Now, my aim is to make a framework for this change, specifically for energy business strategies in the Dominican Republic. I have already analyzed and evaluated, so now I'm exploring and developing and validating my framework. Now, the Dominican Republic. These are just some statistics of the area and the population. Now, I want you to pay attention specifically to the subsidy. The cost of energy is 0.18 US dollars, but this is because the government subsidizes the tariff by 1 billion US dollars annually. Along with the payment for fossil fuels, which we don't have, this makes up 8.6% of the GDP just on energy. Also, the peak demand is more or less 2 gigawatts. Now, this is the current energy generation. It's based on hydroelectrics and fossil fuel plants. And you will say, we have a capacity of 3.5 gigawatts, so it's more than enough to reach the demand. The problem is the distribution and the old fossil fuel plants. We actually produce 4 to 5 times the energy needed because 42 to 50% is lost in distribution due to technical and non-technical issues. Now, we do have hydroelectrics, and this is our energy plant, our matrix. But the problem is, if you see, natural gas is on the rise, and carbon, coal in this case. Hydroelectrics is going down. Wind is going up. So the way to balance, or the government is balancing this, is taking away hydroelectrics to give them to wind and going up on coal and natural gas. So the balancing is not working. Now I checked also the weather patterns. You can say, well, maybe there was a problem, maybe a dry season. That happened 2010 to 2011 and 12. But after that, it has been a rainy season all through the years, so the water production areas have been good, and still hydroelectrics have been going down in production. Now, it was projected that for 2016, last year, we needed 1,451 megawatts that were not done. And for next year, we need an additional 1,380 just to reach the demand. At the moment, the solar potential, it's better than Arizona in the United States. Auto production, meaning solar panels in houses and industry, is 33% of the renewable energy economy in the country. And finance for auto production is available in the country. Now the wind potential, we have 78 locations with better wind than Germany. Only 15 to 20 medium-sized wind farms will give us half of the demand. Just that. Now, with all that potential, you would think we would be investing more. There's only 4 solar plants right now in production, let's say. They have been approved, but only 1 will get done. There's 8 wind farms, but again, only 1 will get done. There's 2 hydroelectric, and no project has been made for that. There's 1 coal plant that has already been approved, finance has been made, and it's already in production. The total of that is 1,380. It's not enough to reach the demand. And of that, only 490 are actually renewable. And again, not all of them will get done. Now, the World Watch made a projection of 3 scenarios for the Dominican Republic. If you see the first column, is simply the cost or initial cost. So of course, business as usual is very low in millions. Any type of penetration of renewable is going to be high for initial production or initial investment. But then total cost of energy generation, of course, business as usual is higher. It's always higher to maintain when you don't have fossil fuel, while renewables go down. The return also go up for renewable instead of business as usual. So we're talking about a $1 trillion enterprise in the Dominican Republic is not taking advantage of it. Now, my methodology, it was based on a qualitative research because of the complexity of the research. I did interviews, semi-structured interviews with purposive sampling techniques. I interviewed 25 professional key actors in the area. The interviews were 30 minutes to 90 minutes long, face-to-face, and the unit of analysis was the energy industry, and the embedded unit was individual employees. Now, this is the classification and the criteria that I was looking for. So experience in the renewable energy area, knowledge of the subject, and at least 5 years of experience. Now, we already know the critical success factors are areas or fields that implemented correctly will ensure a successful completion of the goals and missions of any project. Now, after I collected my data and I analyzed it, I came up with 6 critical success factors. But it wasn't enough just to come up with them. I needed to embed them into the process of the project. Where would they go? So you have your mission, your vision, your aims, your objectives, and then your critical success factors. Then your drivers and challenges, strategic plan, and your key performance indicators to make sure that your critical success factors are actually being implemented and are successful. Now, what were those critical success factors? There were the financial tools, which have 2 phases. It has the political implementations, which are the feed-in tariff, the renewable energy portfolio, and so on, and also the financial tools that the institutions need to implement as loans, venture capital, and so on. Coordination between different actors is also indicated to be a successful critical success factor, which is not present in the Dominican Republic. Neither is the knowledge, so knowledge creation is a must. Implementation of the legal framework. We do have laws for renewables, but they're not implemented. They're just there like decorations. We also have updated and provide access to the grid, so you may have a project, but they will not connect it to the grid. It's up to you to do it. And transparency in the legal and financial tools available. So all the agreements are made behind closed doors, and financial options are not available for the public. Now, these are some of my sample questions that I used to get my critical success factors. So in conclusion, each CFS augments the possibility of success, but nothing is 100% guarantee. This reveals areas that must be monitored over time, and the lack of transparency in the project and process on government entities was a huge factor. Provide process that helps establish a strong way, so the CFS provide a strong way of thinking, communicating, and making decisions in regard to renewable energy. Now, the recommendations was the diversification of the electricity generation portfolio and decentralizing of the grid, which is currently 80 to 85% connected. I'm still analyzing some of the data, developing my framework. I will need to validate the framework through focus groups and write my conclusions. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Any questions, guys, for Angela?
Right here?
Oh, sorry, go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I assume all of these recommendations would need to be made to the Dominican Republic government.
Yes.
So what would you say is the single biggest barrier to these being implemented?
The single biggest barrier, I would say, would be personal gain by the government. They usually have, or they have, part in the fossil fuel generation, since that is privately owned. So a way that I'm doing it is, since they are funding my project or my research, they would have to see my strategies and see the way that they can gain from it, since this is a $1 trillion enterprise. It's more than fossil fuel. So I'm going the capital way. Any other questions?
It's a comment.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. I enjoyed it. The moment you start talking about the sample and the interviews, I was hoping to say I interviewed politicians. And I was really, my expectation was just saying, yes, I'm getting to the problem now. And, but anyway, it's absolutely political. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, but the Dominican Republic is not alone in this thing. Many countries in Southeast Asia, in Africa, we're all in the same boat, okay? So there's a scale, that's right.
To continue your comment,
Yes.
the reason why I did renew the Dominican Republic is because they're a trendsetter in the area.
Yeah.
So if it works there, it will work in the rest of the area. And I did interview public and private sector, yes.
So my final comment is that when you finish your PhD, go and find investors who can go and talk to the politicians and establish your own business there. Well,
Yes, already in the framework.
So, just one single comment about
Yeah.
the data you collected regarding the solar and wind.
viabilities? I mean, where did you get this information from?
What do you mean, where did I get the
You were saying
information?
that the winds is more actually.
Oh, yes, so the potential or quantitative has already been done by Dominican Republic government, IRENA, World Watch, the World Bank. They have all gathered the potential of the Dominican Republic. So this is already data that's available and a fact, let's say.
Okay, guys, any other questions for Angela? Okay, well, at this stage,
Thank you.
thank you very much for attending this session. And hopefully to see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.